Hello, everybody. Welcome to Horror Movie Yearbook. I am Tim.
And I'm Willie.
Willie, we're back
We are.
in the saddle.
Back in the saddle again.
We're going to be back in the saddle of the time machine here in a minute.
We sure are.
We took a little bit of a break from the time machine.
Yeah.
Here's what people,
It's been a bit. It's
Well,
fun to
peop-
journey back, though.
What people don't understand about the time machine is if you go in it too much, you become like displaced. You have no anchor.
True. Yeah.
Like, you start to like feel like you're like a man out of time. You don't know. Like it's very much like a quantum leap type situation.
That explains why my brain's so fuzzy lately, you know? It's
It's because we needed a rest from the time machine.
I needed it, you know? I feel
But-
like I've recalibrated.
Time travel is like a drug.
Ugh, can't get enough.
We must get back, and we must go back to 1987, which we'll be doing in a second.
Yeah.
What else we got? Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/MidwestPodNet. If you like this podcast, you will like our other podcasts, like the Midwest Game Nerds,
Yes.
where they talk about video games. So
Absolutely.
I bet you they're going to be talking about, I saw the Game Awards are tonight.
Oh, cool.
So
They usually do a lot of big things, like
Yeah.
announcements and stuff like that, I think.
They're
So-
busy. They're busy. They're busy boys lately, too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
A couple of them got kids running around.
Man, this kid thing's really spreading around. Everybody's reproducing.
It really is.
We need to create a new generation of podcasters.
Yeah, we
That's
got
what
to
it is.
talk about what we're gonna do here. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk. That's a little housekeeping.
Yeah, we'll figure that out
We'll
off air.
figure it out. We've got to get some technology that works first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's it. Are you like what else? You want anything else you want to talk about up top?
I don't think so.
You ready to hop in this, or
Let's jump right in the time machine, man. I'm
All
ready.
right.
It's been too long. We need that fix.
we need a Prince of Darkness style noise for the time machine? It's not bad. Oh, it keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
That was. I was so impressed by that. I forgot to take a
demon.
drink of my water here.
Yeah.
Kirkland.
I did sip my Coors over here.
Yeah. So we're back in October. So we're Prince of Darkness. What we're going to be talking about. We're October 23rd, 1987.
Yes.
Good year.
Good month.
Good month. Yes.
What's not to like?
What do you want? Do you want box office, or do you want movies, music, or TV from this week in October of 1987?
Give me the movies first.
You want to go movies?
Yeah. No, give me the music.
Oops. Okay.
Sorry.
You
Changed
switched
my
that up on
mind.
me. Yeah.
Trying to keep you on your toes.
That's all right. That's all right. I don't mind that.
I can't help myself.
'Cause I thought you were gonna pick music right away.
I don't know why I picked movies.
So anybody who just joined us, this is kind of how we do things when we hop in the time machine. We take a look. Of course, we're going to be talking about Prince of Darkness here in a little bit, but we also like to set the table, provide a little context by looking at some of the other entertainment of the time. So this is the Billboard Hot 100
Oh,
of October 24th.
hot indeed.
That weekend in 1987. So at number 10, oh my God, a Bad Bunny advertisement you could order. It just popped up, like took over my entire screen as I was reading.
Apparently, Bad Bunny's like a music superstar.
Yes.
Like I'd never heard of the guy until I saw him on a wrestling
Yes,
show.
but I guess that's why he's doing wrestling
Yeah.
shows, is so people
I'm
like
sure.
us.
I'm not smart.
Well,
I'm not. It's not smart. I'm not in the know.
but the thing is, okay, I'm going to stick up a little bit for you here.
Okay, I appreciate that.
A Bad Bunny is he's like a musical star. He's like a big star,
Yeah.
and I understand that. But the way entertainment is, unless it's like a Marvel movie or like some huge, like Top Gun, like Maverick, something that's caught on with everybody that everybody knows, like especially music, it's so segmented.
So you're saying is unless it's like in the top 10 of something, you're not going to hear about it really.
Right, and music is really tough too because you can really personalize music now.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you go to a movie theater,
You can avoid like
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to a movie theater, like you see there's 10 movies they're playing.
yeah.
There's still 10 movies they're playing, and you go on your Apple Music, your Spotify, your YouTube Music, whatever you use, like you could pretty much tailor your music to what you like. So
Yeah.
if you don't like Bad Bunny's like Latin style music,
Sure.
like you
can kind of avoid that.
You
or
can avoid, like, it
yeah.
never pops up. Like, it's never going to, if you're, like, just listening to straight, like, Mastodon
You're not going to hear Bad Bunny.
and Slipknot,
Probably.
like, your music service is not going to recommend you a Bad Bunny
There
song.
are disadvantages to that.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah.
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 I mean, it's nice to be able to choose the things that you know that you like, but like you do lose sight of like you miss out on things that you might enjoy that you
there's
don't get
something
to hear it, so.
there's something to be said to being exposed to new
There's a
stuff.
nice sometimes I miss the discovery of things,
Right.
So yeah.
I'm a channel flipper, as they say. I used
Excellent.
to like. It's tough to flip channels in streaming.
It's true.
You get, because you got to get out of the app and back into the app. I was always a channel flipper, but like I always said, like, well, that exposed me to a lot of new stuff. I don't just like one thing. So
Yeah.
the top 10 Billboard. We got distracted by Bad Bunny, but anyway, don't feel bad.
It's easy to do.
It is easy to do. Number 10, Carrie by Europe.
Okay.
Is it the?
No, that's Mr. Mister.
Is okay.
That's Kiri by Mr. Mister.
That's a good song.
Yes. Yep. Carrie, I don't know.
Um,
Kiri's good.
Carrie is, in my opinion, because I don't know Carrie by Europe off the top of my head, is the superior of the two songs I was thinking of.
There's a movie, and I don't remember the movie at all, but I remember Lake Bell is in the movie, and she starts singing the song, and she sings the lyric as "Carry a laser down the road that I must travel."
Oh,
and I can't unhear that when I hear that song. It sounds like he's saying "Carry a laser."
What movie was that?
I don't know. It was her and Rob Corddry in the scene. It's funny that I remember all
Is
that.
it Hot Tub Time Machine?
Might be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 9, Little Lies by Fleetwood Mac.
Great song. on my super insulated Spotify playlist that keeps me from hearing anything new.
You will not hear Bad Bunny on your Fleetwood Mac. Someone pointed out the other day, like a lot of people freak out about like drama, like on set or just like between people. Now, like they could not handle.
Can you imagine if the internet existed when Fleetwood Mac was in its prime? Dear
Fleetwood
God.
Mac is a wild ass band, and they were still making music in the late '80s after all they had
By
been
some miracle. Yeah, it was still pretty good.
Number 8, Let Me Be the One, Expose.
I think I know the song, but I'm
not confident in my.
no.
Number 7, Moni Moni by Billie Eilish.
I hate this song.
You hate? Okay, is there a story behind your hatred for
That
Moni
just
Moni?
sucks. It's just not a good song. I like Billy Idol, but I do not like this song.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just obnoxious to me.
Sorry. Number 6, Casanova by Levert, R&B group.
I might know the song.
I know this song, but I can't sing it off the top of my head.
No, I know. I think I know it, but I'm.
You're gonna know this one though. Number 5, I Think We're Alone Now by Tiffany.
I think we're alone now. Yeah.
You a Tiffany or are you a Debbie Gibson guy?
More Debbie Gibson. I mean, she was the one in. She was in Cronenberg. Isn't Debbie Gibson in one of Cronenberg's movies? Am I crazy? Anyway,
Keep talking.
I think we're alone now. I did not realize I think we're alone now was a cover, by the way.
You're thinking of Debbie Harry.
Debbie Harry. Okay, sorry. I think we're alone now. I did not realize was a cover until like a few years back, and I went, "Oh, that's not her song."
Doesn't need to be anyone.
I mean, it's a pop, staple, right?
Yeah.
And there was that. Didn't she have a stalker?
Tiffany, I believe so. Yeah.
Her whole thing was she performed at malls. That was her big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tiffany was always kind of the. So she would have been the Christina Aguilera to Britney Spears. Like Debbie Gibson was kind of the Britney. Man, like we keep going into like people. There's gonna be some like 20-year-old listening to this podcast being like, "What the hell are these olds talking about?" I haven't heard of any of the 4 people they are mentioning here.
I don't know who to compare them to modern-wise. I don't. But
no, we don't. We just found out who Bad Bunny was.
Not current enough, so.
Yeah, she was more of the if you catch my drift.
Yeah, for sure.
Lost in Emotion by Lisa and Cult Jam at number 4.
I think I know it again, but I can't remember it. God, it sounds familiar.
Number 3, one of my favorite Prince songs, I believe, off of one of my favorite, like maybe my favorite Prince album.
Sure.
Was Sign of the Times. You Got the Look, Prince.
It's a good song.
Your body's second slamming.
Little underrated.
If love is good.
I mean, he's got so many great songs. It's yeah.
The last lyric in that is, let's get to ramming.
Oh my goodness. He's usually not quite that
quite that crass.
quite that up front.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Number 2, Causing a Commotion by Madonna. I don't know this.
No,
one.
don't know it.
There's a
Know a lot of Madonna, but
on YouTube TV, cable, there's MTV Classic. It's a station I love, and I love to throw on. And me and my buddy Davis have kind of a running joke. Anytime we see YouTube or MTV Classic plays there's a block of videos called House of Pop.
okay.
Or totally 80s, and they will play the deepest Madonna cuts ever, Madonna stuff that I didn't even know existed. And
her output was insane.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm a Madonna fan. I really like some of her music. I think some of her poppier stuff is a lot of fun. I'm not a Virgin guy. I always thought that was kind of corny.
Right.
But Open Your Heart, that's a banger.
Yeah. Like a Prayer is one of my favorite songs of all time.
It's fantastic. You and I bonded over that song.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she's got some really great stuff. Yeah. True Blue, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, we will text each other whenever we see a Madonna video we've never heard of in our life. It's because, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the number one song in America, The Weeknd, that...
I thought you were saying The Weeknd.
No,
I'm like, whoa.
Although this is a big influence on The Weeknd.
Okay.
The Weeknd that Prince of Darkness came out
in
1987. Bad.
Excuse me, I burped.
By Michael Jackson.
Bad. Oh, man.
You ain't bad. You ain't nothing. This was one of...
Bad's a good song.
There are two... I guess cassette tapes, but albums that I remember from my childhood.
Okay.
It's being they were my favorite albums.
Yeah.
One of them was Bad by Michael Jackson, and the other one was Bobby Brown.
Oh yeah, good choices.
Let me remember the.
Well, while you're looking it up, I'll tell you mine. My two cassette tapes that I remember the most of all the cassette tapes would be the Offspring Smash.
Okay.
And the Mortal Kombat soundtrack.
Okay.
With KMFDM on it and stuff. Yeah. Good stuff.
So it was the album that My Prerogative was on.
You had better taste. That Smash is a fantastic album.
It was Don't Be Cruel. Don't Be Cruel was the album. So, yeah, because it had Bobby in he was in the blazer, the suit.
Yes.
With no tie and stuff. He looked sweet on it.
Yeah, he looks cool as hell.
But this was the one. But I got really into Bobby Brown because of the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack.
What's his big one on the second soundtrack?
Yeah, the second soundtrack.
Well, I guess.
Oh, man, Babyface did a ton of... But this makes sense, though, with my musical taste, because I'm looking at this, and it's Babyface, L.A. Reid. It's a lot of those guys that... Teddy Riley's, who worked with that Minneapolis sound.
Yes, dude, you've got a very specific... I will say that I've been going to these local wrestling shows once a month.
Yes.
There's a tag team that comes out to that song.
Which one?
I guess
the Ghostbusters song?
Yeah, they're called Studio 86.
Okay.
And they come out and they're pretty sweet. They wear fanny packs and they wear hot pink.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Pretty cool. Anyway.
So those are the top 10 songs in the nation. This was so we're going to talk about Prince of Darkness now.
Yeah.
This was the number 2 movie in America.
The weekend it came out?
The weekend it came out.
And then it was the number...
Yeah, this thing
74.
So this thing, a lot of Carpenter movies died a death.
Mm-hmm.
What is number 1? Oh, the number 1 movie in America that beat Prince of Darkness?
Yeah.
Fatal Attraction.
That was a hit, man. Yeah.
So that had been out for 6 weeks.
That was past its first month, I was going to say, but yeah.
So, let's talk about Prince of Darkness. A group of graduate students and scientists uncover an ancient canister in an abandoned church, but when they open the container, they inadvertently unleash a strange liquid in an evil force. That about sums it up. Written by John Carpenter under an alias, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and directed by John Carpenter. How do you want to do this? Do you want to give basic... We've covered this a little bit.
We have.
A while back.
Our old format when we did 3 movies an episode, which I love doing, but I'm happy that we're not closed off to revisiting some of those to talk about them more in depth, which hopefully we accomplish here. Yeah, let us know if you don't want to hear. I guess, doesn't mean we're not going to do it, but, let us know. Yeah, we talked about this. I mean, look, Prince of Darkness is... just my brief thoughts, it's a movie that I saw before I realized it was a John Carpenter movie. So, I was familiar with who John Carpenter was. You got to remember this. This is like VHS days and, renting movies and just kind of grabbing it and looking at the front cover and going, all right, we'll give it a shot. And but this one I did not rent. I saw it on cable. It was one of those periods of time when my parents had cable, and so when we did, I knew it wouldn't last forever because they'd get cable for 3 to 6 months and then go, it's too expensive, and then stop doing cable.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think that was uncommon back then. Maybe it's not uncommon now. I don't know. But I watched it on cable, and I did not realize it was a John Carpenter film until a couple of years after I watched it. And I was already a fan of his. I loved Halloween. I loved The Thing. I knew those two were his movies. I knew They Live was one of his movies. I knew Escape from New York was one of his movies. Those are the ones I was familiar with, and why I knew I was a John Carpenter fan, even at age, let's say 10, right, or 12, whenever I saw this. This movie scared the shit out of me. Like, really had an effect on me. There's a sequence in the film, we'll talk about it, with Dennis Dunn's character locked in a closet, trapped in a closet. And it like, haunted my dreams. And for years, I think I, like, subconsciously, or maybe consciously, like, pushed this movie to the back of my mind because it freaked me out so bad. Where, like, I almost kind of forgot about it. Like, it was always there, but, like, I didn't want to think about it because it freaked me out so bad at a young age.
Yeah. And
I wound up, when the internet came about, and I knew I was a Carpenter fan already, and I had explored a lot more of his filmography beyond the, like, 4 movies or so that I had seen. Obviously, I came across Prince of Darkness at some point when I was doing that, and I wound up renting it from somewhere, or even buying a copy. I can't remember. And watching it, and as I'm watching it going, oh no, this is the movie. And then going, shit, it's another Carpenter movie that I like. And obviously the second time I watched it, I was a little bit more ready for it, and really wound up loving it. And it's one of my favorite Carpenter films. And, he's one of my top 3 directors of all time. If not my top director of all time, he might be. I don't know. I'd have to really simmer on that one. And it's in my top 5 Carpenter films. And I love pretty much all of Carpenter's movies. So this might be my 3rd in the Carpenter filmography.
Okay.
I think Halloween and The Thing are above this. But I think Prince of Darkness is number 3 for me. I waffle a little bit when it gets to like 3, 4, and 5. I kind of... Because Big Trouble in Little China, I think, is probably 3, really, realistically. And then 4 is Prince of Darkness, but some days I could say Prince of Darkness is... I don't know.
I think they're 2 completely different movies, but I see that's why it's tough to kind of compare them. But I think I've got Big Trouble solidly number 3. If you would ask me when I was younger, though, I would have had this probably in the middle of the pack, and I would have like Escape from New York higher.
This is bumped up above that for me now.
Yeah,
yes,
Escape from New York is actually dropped for me. Yeah,
same way as you, absolutely. Yeah. Escape from New York has dropped a bit. Doesn't mean I don't love it. I do.
Yeah.
That's dropped. They Live has even dropped a tiny bit for me.
Okay.
As a kid, I still love They Live. But as a kid, I loved it even more than like some of his scarier stuff. And now I've kind of appreciated a few more of his, like In the Mouth of Madness even is a movie that I would almost say is like an on par with They Live in terms of my ranking.
Yeah.
And it never would have been that way.
Right.
When I was a kid. No way. So anyway, I love Prince of Darkness. I'm excited to talk about it. Tim, Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, I think we kind of cover where it stands for me. I'm with you. I've got Halloween and Thing like 1, 2.
Yeah.
When it comes to Carpenter, and I don't even hesitate with those. And it's not to say he hasn't. This movie to me is like pure Carpenter. It's
all of his stuff.
It's all of his stuff rolled into about 90 minutes. Like, I mean, you've got kind of like the world underneath the world. You've got like the team of professionals working together.
Adults.
Yep, adult professionals. You've got the supernatural. You've got aliens.
Apocalyptic scale.
Yep, apocalyptic. You've got even some of the same camera, like the POV camera.
Lots of that Steadicam work.
Yep, you've got kind of the Lovecraftian influences.
It's
the
got
Nigel
slasher
Neal
elements.
Yep. So
it's a siege film.
Yes, it's a siege film. It takes place kind of in one location. It's very similar. You're right to like something like Assault on Precinct 13.
Absolutely, and it's got a hell of a Carpenter cast.
Yep.
He loved reusing guys, right? And so you've got Dennis Dunn in here. You've got Victor Wong in here. You've got
Donald Pleasance.
it's definitely.
And this is the first movie with Peter Jason, who he would go on to work with pretty much throughout the rest of his career. There's a great commentary track that I listened to this time around.
On the Scream Factory?
On the Scream Factory Blue that just came out whenever. It's been a while now, actually. I got the Steelbook when they came out with that. But Peter Jason joins him for the commentary, and it's very fun. Carpenter's always good with... Because the Kurt Russell commentary tracks are also very fun. But he's good with like people that are on the same wavelength with him that kind of he can bounce back and forth. With friends, yeah. And so this is... it's quite a good commentary track, but this feels like to me. So I remember this, but I'm going to reuse it because when we talked about this, I made the same comparison, and we brought up Prince earlier.
Yeah,
Prince kind of came out with his double album, Sign of the Times, around this time, and that's kind of like his definitive. That's kind of the end of classic Prince in a lot of ways. That is like
it's the final, like the magnum opus before all the craziness with the symbol stuff started.
Yes,
and
it's kind of. In some ways, people point to it as his best album. And in a lot of ways, it's not like... So, like, Purple Rain is almost perfect start to finish. It's like one of those great album, no skips, is how you'd refer to it. And there's some stuff on Sign of the Times, his album, that I kind of skip. That I'll skip past because it's not my favorite stuff. But, like, that's Prince, too. Like, all of that is him. Like, that's him as an artist. It's all in this double album. And that's how Prince of Darkness feels to me. Like, it's not as perfect as Halloween or The Thing, but it's John Carpenter. And it's him without any restrictions from, like, well, I mean, budgetary restrictions, but from no studio interference. Like, this is kind of him in a lot of ways on screen. Yep.
Well, no, it's I would make the comparison, and maybe I did this the last time we talked about it. It's very possible to Stephen King, and it. It is the culmination. It is not a perfect book. It is not his best book, I don't think. But it is kind of the culmination of that entire first era of his work, and it's the perfect encapsulation. It takes pieces from all the things he's done before and puts them into this big package, and for me it works because it's purely King. This is purely Carpenter in that same way. We talked about all the things it collects from his other films ahead of time, and then also, like you said, Sign of the Times, very much that. It takes elements from all of Prince's previous work, and it might not be the best of those, but it like I said, it's the magnum opus. It's like everything's been building to this.
I want to go through. Maybe this is a good idea to put on an episode. I want to go through and not find like a horror filmmaker or even a filmmaker. Like, I don't want to find their best movie. I want to find like their magnum opus, like
the movie that's the most them.
Because for me, this is the one I always point to with Carpenter. Like, this is Carpenter.
Yes,
this is his magnum opus.
Oh, this is more when I think of Carpenter and what he is as a filmmaker. Prince of Darkness comes to mind before Halloween for sure. Mm-hmm. And I think before The Thing, too. Yeah. Now, if somebody said, what Carpenter movie should I watch first, I would say one of those two.
For sure.
However, if somebody was saying, what's like the most Carpenter movie, this is probably it. Yeah, what's the movie that will give me an overall view of kind of him as a visionary or as a filmmaker? It's Prince of Darkness.
Right.
Warts and all, it's Prince of Darkness. So, yeah.
All right, so let's do the plot. I'm going to stop after. This is the Wikipedia plot summary. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read it, and then we're going to dive into it a little bit. And I've got some quotes I found at old Fangoria magazine from the time of release. I believe it's Fangoria number 69, which is up for free on the Fangoria website.
Number 69?
Yes, nice, right? So check it out because they've put a bunch of their archives up, and they're kind of going through, and I think they're free to read because I was able to read this whole thing.
Oh, sweet.
So I think because there used to be a internet archive place where you could just go and find a bunch, and I loved it. But thankfully, Fangoria has decided, like, okay, we're going to at least get the hits on this, but we're going to do it for free. So that's very cool, and there's some great stuff in there. But anyway, so here is the plot. A Catholic priest invites quantum physicist Professor Howard Barak and his students to join him in the basement of a Los Angeles monastery belonging to the Brotherhood of Sleep, an old order.
Sweet name. Sorry.
An old order who communicate through dreams. The priest requires their assistance in investigating a mysterious cylinder containing a swirling green liquid. Among the 13 academics present are wisecracking Walter Fong, Demure Kelly, the highly strung Susan Cabot, and lovers Brian Marsh and Catherine Danforth. All right, so we're going to stop right there. This is what you're talking about with the this is a team of Carpenter talks about too, like he's kind of like this Fangoria interview. He's very cranky, but he make sure to mention like if I was working with a studio, they would want all these to be kids investigating this, but it's not. They're like students. They're like older people, priests,
and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if this was made in the '90s, they would be teenagers, and it wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't be right. No, I love Carpenter's great too about. Generally, there's a star of the show in a Carpenter movie. There's a standout. There's a lead, right? So like Jamie Lee Curtis, or in Halloween, Kurt Russell in The Thing, Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China, so on and so forth. But even though there's a lead, I'm a sucker for an ensemble. Every form of media I've ever loved the most, video games, movies, music, comic books, any of that, I always tend to gravitate towards the things that feature an ensemble, like a group of people where I enjoy the interactions, I enjoy different aspects of the characters, I maybe can cling to a character or two and find them relatable or just funny or enjoyable. I like ensemble. That's the reason why I like Aliens even more than Alien. Alien is an ensemble as well, yes, but like I love that. I love the group. I love that form of storytelling where you've got a team of people. And so right away he's got me with this. And then he has an amazing cast, right? And I think all these people rule. Before we move on to the plot, like you mentioned, just a litany of all these actors that play the grad students. And I have to immediately, because if I don't do it now, I don't want to forget, give a shout out to Dennis Dunn, who is like legitimately one of my favorite actors. Like when I think of like my top act, like I love Dennis Dunn. The crazy thing to me is like he hasn't done a ton compared to some of his contemporaries, and you have to wonder if that's because it has historically been harder for Asian actors to get roles. I think it's changing. I hope it's changing. It seems like it is. I think things like Crazy Rich Asians and the popularity of that movie, and having more Asian voices as directors is helping. And things like Shang-Chi. I mean that those things help. They do make a difference. I don't care what anybody says. It's those things are important. But Dennis Dunn rules, and he steals every scene he's in. And the crazy thing is, like, he's sharing scenes with like other actors that have done more at this point in time in '87, and bigger name actors at this point. And he does the same thing in Big Trouble in Little China. Like he's acting 90% of his scenes are with Kurt Russell, who at that point was an established child star and becoming an adult movie star in his own right? Not an adult film star, but an adult movie star. And he somehow like overshadows Kurt Russell like multiple times in the movie. So anyway, love Dennis Dunn. Just need to get that out there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. If anybody with contacts.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Somehow get us in touch with Dennis Dunn.
For a second, I was like contact like in the eyes because I wear contacts. So my first thing is like,
yes, Tim, I know you've got them. Probably in right now.
Yeah, they're driving me nuts because this one has been. I have monthlies, and this one's been in for like 6 months.
Oh no! If anybody out there, has any sort of connections, like to get us in touch with them, like he's like a dream interview. So anyway, moving on.
The other thing I want to talk about here in this section is, I think this is a good place to talk about, is Carpenter was really into quantum physics at this time, and
it shows.
I'm not even going to attempt because I like if you want to go like the Heisenberg principle, the uncertainty principle, like Google that and find it out on your own because I'm just going to butcher it. Like I'm not a physicist.
It's not
teacher.
Worth us sitting here doing that. It's just not.
It's not. You can figure it out. You can read. But I wanted to read this quote from Fangoria with the interview. He says, "We all try to hold." This is Carpenter. We all try to hold on to a rational structure of the universe, but the universe isn't really rational. When you learn about physics, you discover a different reality, which is even weirder and more frightening than the one we know. I've done a lot of studying of quantum physics. I wanted to find out what the newest wave of scientific research was telling us. I've incorporated much of that research into Prince of Darkness using some of the scientific reality the general public does not yet know about." That's just funny to me, John.
He rules.
The information already exists, but most people, me, find it too complicated complicated to comprehend. That was me saying me, not John.
Okay.
The popularity of the new physics is beginning to increase, but many authors are loath to write about it because it violates common sense. So a really funny quote from John there. But
I love, by the way, that like in '87, John's like, I'm really into like quantum physics, and now he's like, I just want to watch basketball. He's so sweet.
Well, he was 39 at the time of this,
right?
too.
Of course.
So
no, I get it.
I can see why he would still be.
I'm 36, and I'm like, I just want to watch basketball. Like I don't.
No, for sure. I am John Carpenter. And, like I'm Carpenter's age here, and I'm with you. I've aged into like Carpenter in his
You're like
50s
30
and 60s.
years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, John. But I do want to bring that up because he mentioned like order in the universe, and humans trying to construct order in the universe and stuff that doesn't make a ton of sense. And that's part of what he's talking about here is like, for a lot of the unexplained, we just like, our brain defaults to like, oh, it's like ghosts. It's like a ghost. It's like a ghost. Like as you see it when the ghost hunting shows, like we can't explain something that happened. So it immediately goes to something that we can grasp. The other thing too is like that's what a lot of his movies are about, is that trying to find that order. Even something like Halloween. Halloween is about something that it's you can't explain Michael Myers and why he's killing in this suburban city, the suburban town. And a lot of it is trying to rationalize that. That's what's scary about Halloween is like you can't explain why he's doing the things he's doing. He's just doing them.
And what I love about that theme going through his work is like the authority figures are the guys in charge, the ones who are trying to like maintain order or like take something purely chaotic and box it into some sort of understandable thing. They fail miserably in all of Carpenter's work, they horribly. And this one goes all the way to like Ghost of Mars, where that's an example. So like there's certainly there is a rejection by Carpenter of authority and its attempts to try and contain things that cannot be contained.
Right.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, so they decipher an ancient text found next to the cylinder, which describes the liquid as corporeal embodiment of Satan. The team also learns Jesus Christ was an extraterrestrial who was executed for heresy after trying to warn the people of Earth about the vessel in which Satan was trapped. The liquid is then discovered to be sentient. Of course, I mean, this is a pretty obvious plot.
Wouldn't it be?
The academics use a computer to analyze the books surrounding it and find that they included differential equations. Over a period of 2 days, small jets of liquid escape from the cylinder. Members of the group exposed to the liquid become possessed by
jets of liquid. I like that.
To attack the others. The first victim is Susan, who begins killing off the others one by one. Sorry, my contact messed up on me. After which they too become possessed. Anyone who attempts to flee the monastery is killed by the growing mass of enthralled homeless people who have surrounded the building. Good job on this Wikipedia summary. All right, we got to stop right there. So
jets of liquid and enthralled homeless people.
We are dealing with a lot here. We have Jesus Christ as an alien.
And that's it.
Carpenter. So the thing is, Carpenter doesn't deal with religion a ton. Starman is kind of pointed out as kind of like his religious movie.
There's a little bit of that in Star. Well, not a little bit. There's
he's
a
kind of a
amount,
Christ-like figure, and I mean, in Starman, he's Christ.
It's more of a Christ allegory than a very straightforward religious thing. It feels a little bit more, like I said, like allegorical to me than this does. This is like, well, even this is, I mean, this is certainly more religious than any of his other work. I mean, we're dealing with the Catholic Church, we're dealing with Satan, like Satan, the son of the devil. And then Carpenter's, interpretation, like Satan is the son of the devil, correct? Like that's the way it works.
Yeah. So
it's a little bit different, I think, than maybe traditional Christianity, but it is interesting and unique to watch him tackle some of this stuff. I think he's able to like the whole like Jesus was an alien thing feels a little bit glossed over. Like it just kind of gets mentioned and then it's kind of like
yes.
You almost wonder if maybe that was like somebody saying like let's not get too crazy with this because we don't want to piss off too many people. But But I guess like what
the other thing that is like explicitly religious in this movie is this line: "You will not be saved by the Holy Ghost. You will not be saved." This is Lisa writing this later on. You will not be saved by the Holy Ghost. You will not be saved by the god plutonium. In fact, you will not be saved, is what she writes.
This is a stolen line from one of Carpenter's earlier scripts. Have I told you this before?
No.
Carpenter wrote a script called Meltdown.
Hey, just a second. Did you click your? Is your thing unplugged? All right, talk into it again.
Carpenter wrote a script way back when that never got filmed, called Meltdown. It was a slasher film set inside a nuclear reactor facility that was burning down. So the people were trying to escape the facility, and also the serial killer, who, by the way, uses a flamethrower for most of the film, most of the script. It rules. Anyway, this is an actual.
Okay.
The "you will not be" that verbatim.
It's a great line.
It's a note that the slasher, or the torture, I guess, in the script sends the survivors to let them know that they're going to die inside this reactor. It's sweet. Read Meltdown if you can. It's pretty cool. But also, yes, so this is straight out of that. It also works perfectly for this film. So I'm glad he was able to.
I can't remember if it's the IMDb page.
Retool it.
Who says? I mean. The god plutonium radioactive element with the atomic number 94. It's named after the Roman god Pluto as well, who rules the underworld.
Yes, so it worked. Like I said, it worked for Meltdown.
Yep,
with the whole plutonium radioactive thing, but it also very much works for this.
So a lesson to some maybe aspiring screenwriters: just because like if a script you have doesn't work, maybe you can use some of it for another.
Don't be afraid to retool something, to reuse something. Yep.
Yeah, faith is a hard thing to come by these days. That's a line. In this one, it's similar to a line in the thing, but it's also kind of like, it's kind of like as you learn more about reality, questioning everything that you thought to be true before. Alice Cooper I wanted to mention real quick, because we talked a little bit, like this is where, I believe this is around the time he comes into the picture.
Yes, he's kind of the leader of the homeless people that have gathered outside that are kind of in a trance or possessed almost by the entity. I think the idea here is that, like, maybe it's certainly like not PC, but like that they're somehow drawn because they're like in a weakened mental state or something.
Yeah,
I don't know anyway, but
some of it's a little hazy, honestly.
Yeah,
some of it, due to the limits of this. I mean, and he's dealing with some pretty heady stuff in this movie, but some of it, is a little hazy. Alice Cooper, of course, kind of the legendary shock rocker, kind of seen as kind of like a Satanist type president, like a devilish presence of the 70s.
Son of a pastor.
Yes. And also, I believe, a born-again Christian later on in life.
Yeah.
Also, a big golfer. When I worked at a classic rock radio station for a little bit, he would come by. I never met him, but he would golf. Like, they had big golf outings. Alice Cooper loves to golf. I think he lives in like Arizona, which is golf country. But
yes,
a fun little story about John Carpenter and Alice Cooper that I think you'll get a kick out of, and I think some of our listeners definitely will.
Can't wait.
John met. Do you know where he met John Carpenter? Or I mean, where Alice Cooper met John Carpenter?
Where the two of them met?
Do you want a hint?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Give me a hint. Yeah.
It was in the city of Detroit.
Oh. Was it a Pistons game?
Close.
A Lions game.
It was in the Lions Stadium.
Because Cooper's a big Lions fan.
Ah, okay.
He might not be anymore, which who could blame him? But usually if you're a Lions fan, you're a Lions fan through and through.
Yes.
But I've met Alice Cooper, and he was wearing a Lions jersey when I met him.
I will never accuse any Lions fan of being a bandwagon fan, because anybody who has watched that team.
Can't be.
So it was in the Pontiac Silverdome.
Nice.
That he met him.
Yep.
He met him at WrestleMania 3, though.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Carpenter was a big wrestling fan at the time. I don't know if he still is. We'll ask John when we interview him.
Yeah, of course.
But Alice Cooper was a part of the Jake the Snake Honky Tonk Man match.
That's right.
Yeah, Jake the Snake had the big snake, and Alice Cooper, of course, would always come out with the big snake as well. And this is where he also, like, I think he was friends with Piper at the time, too. and Piper was at WrestleMania 3 as well.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I love that connection, yeah.
So he was Carpenter was just there as a fan of wrestling, and he met Alice Cooper, and
that's really cool.
Yep.
Now, I know they used, of course, Alice Cooper's like standout scene in the film is when he gets to kill somebody with a bicycle.
Yes.
A disassembled bicycle. That bicycle and that gag is actually from a stage show at the time.
Okay.
They literally just took his existing prop and he would stab somebody with that bike on stage, and it would fountain blood out the end, and so they just used that, and it worked out good.
Very nice. I think,
Fun little fact for you.
Wasn't the guy listening to Alice Cooper at the time? I thought that was
He's listening to an Alice Cooper track, yes. From, I don't know what the album was that came out at that point in time. Might have been Constrictor. I can't remember, but yes, it was a single, I think, at the time. So.
This is his second best performance behind Wayne's World.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Yes, of course. I mean, who can't be beat? But
Wayne's World that's top tier, though.
I will say the Prince of Darkness DVD has one of my favorites. At least the DVD I owned has one of my favorite covers ever because it's just a picture of creepy Alice Cooper's face hovering over the church, and I went. It's not terribly representative of the film, but okay.
Professor Barack and the priest theorize that Satan is actually the offspring of the anti-god, an even more powerful force of evil bound to the realm of antimatter. The survivors... This is pretty crazy stuff here. But we'll talk about it in a second. I've got some notes on it, too. Carpenter was not under studio watch here. He was on his own.
He was wild.
Yes. The survivors find themselves sharing a recurring dream showing a shadowy figure emerging from the front of the church. The hazy transmission changes slightly with each occurrence of the dream, revealing progressively more detail. The narration of the transmission each time instructs the dreamer that they are witnessing an actual broadcast from the future.
I love this stuff. I don't know, once again, we're not going to sit here and pretend like we know quantum physics or any of that stuff, but like I love the idea that they're having this shared dream. I love the idea that it's this vision of something that supposedly is happening in the future. I love the apocalyptic like vibe of the way they shoot the sequence, like it's an old like handheld VHS camera. I love all of that. It's very Carpenter, and it works very well. And it ties so beautifully into the end of the film. And we've said this before. I think you've agreed with me. Carpenter's the master of ending a movie.
Yeah.
And like more and more, I don't know if you've noticed this. I'm gonna speak for myself. Certainly, people don't know how to end shit anymore.
It's a skill.
People are kind of scared of how to end stuff, shows, movies, whatever. And I'm sure that it has something to do with like the level of like online outcry you get when people are angry about an ending.
And the sequelization of everything, too. Like, everything's got to be part of a bigger story.
You have to keep things open enough.
Everything's got to be TV. Like, yep.
Absolutely. So, like, I think that those two things factor in. So I don't blame, like, modern writers. I think they're, unfortunately, kind of forced into certain things. But, like, Carpenter was the master of ending a movie. So this whole broadcast from the future, like, really sets up his final stroke in this movie very well. Yeah.
And this is Carpenter. This stuff is Carpenter getting kind of meta. And that goes back to his alias, his pen name for this, the alias of Martin Quatermass.
Oh, Marty.
This is Nigel Neal, was a British science fiction scriptwriter. He wrote The Quatermass Experiment, I should say,
yes,
because that is the correct title. The Quatermass.
Is this the gentleman he worked on Halloween 3 with?
This is the gentleman that worked on Halloween 3 with and had
he didn't like.
Terrible experience with him, but he's a big influence on John Carpenter, and you can definitely see it in this movie. This Carpenter, he created a fictional persona for this scriptwriter, Martin Quatermass. And here is the biography from the press kit. Martin Quatermass, a native of this, Carpenter created this. Martin Quatermass, a native of London, England, is a former physicist and brother of Bernard Quatermass, the famous rocket scientist who headed the British rocket group during the 1950s. Martin graduated from Neil University with a degree in theoretical physics. Quatermass currently lives in Fraser Park, California with his wife, Janet. He's the author of two novels, Schrodinger's Revenge, and Schwarzschild Radius. And then Carpenter goes on to say in the interview, this guy Quatermass is the easiest writer with whom I've ever worked. He's a real nice fellow and did all the rewrites exactly the way I wanted. I wish all screenwriters were as cooperative as Martin Quatermass.
That rules, dude.
There is a Quatermass movie called 5 Million Years to Earth that this has a lot in common with. This movie has a lot in common with. And
never seen it.
The whole plot is about evil that has lied dormant for a long time, growing and gaining strength over years. This whole movie is very much inspired by those works. So there you go.
That's awesome.
Walter, trapped in a closet, much like R. Kelly, witnesses the possessed.
I can't. Did you ever watch those things?
I watched all the
too many. Right?
My good friend Joe, when we were moving to Chicago, actually, you know what? I'm misremembering this right now in my head. I think he was moving to Chicago, and I wanted to hang out in Chicago. But anyway, we were at a hotel room.
It's like Entourage. You want to follow your buddy out.
We were hanging out, and we had some beers, and we had the beers in the sink. You ever do the beers in the sink? Put the ice in the sink, and you throw the beers in the sink. We were drinking beers, and all of R. Kelly's Trapped in the Closet came out, and we go, oh, we're in for the next 2 or 3 hours. So we watched all of it, and it was one of the more ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life.
It's a journey. I will never watch it again for reasons that I won't. I'm not going to do anything to give that guy visibility.
Right.
But boy, was it a journey. Anyway, my friend introduced me to Trapped in the Closet. Actually, funny.
It was a sensation at the time.
It was certainly a sensation.
We didn't know,
for good reason.
We didn't know what we knew, what we know now about it.
We had an inkling, I think, but not. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So,
Trapped in the Closet. Yeah.
Yes, Dennis Dunn is trapped in this closet right now.
Yes. Witnesses the possessed bringing the cylinder to a sleeping Kelly. Okay, here's where things get
This is it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Now we're talking. It opens itself, and the remaining liquids transfuses into Kelly's body, causing
transfuses. It is so gross, bro. It climbs the ceiling.
Yeah.
And pulls up, and this is all revealed through a flashlight, which makes it scarier. Flashlights are scary as hell, right?
Yeah, I mean,
flashlights are supposed to make you feel safe.
But you use them in the dark. You cut through the darkness.
So you never use them when you're feeling safe.
And if it illuminates something, like if you're outside and it illuminates something, like it's usually going to be like an animal. You don't want to see it. You're just going, ugh.
Exactly. Yeah. It illuminates glowing eyes in the woods.
Yes.
And you're like, no, I'm good. Anyway.
Causing her to become the physical vessel of Satan, a gruesomely disfigured being with powers of telekinesis and regeneration. Kelly attempts to summon the anti-god through a dimensional portal using a mirror, but the mirror is too small and the effort fails. So this is the stuff that really freaked you out as a kid, right?
Oh my God, Tim.
Yeah. This is also the the kind of racier stuff. I mean, we're getting essentially vampire movies were big around this time as well.
Yes.
So I think you could kind of, this isn't a straightforward vampire movie, but it has elements of a vampire feature. And one of the things is kind of like the transfusion, as they said, of one thing to like from one person to another. And this does it through like vomiting out, kind of like spitting it, like you,
or through there's a kiss and a lesbian kiss.
So this is where we've
talked about this on our previous discussion. I don't want to dig too deep into it because we have talked about this, but I don't think it's intentional.
Right.
But I do think that there has to be some.
You have to remember it's 1987 too. This is like the year that Reagan like made his first public statement on the AIDS epidemic. Like so
yes.
we like I mean the AIDS epidemic had been a disease that had kind of ravaged the gay community up until this point, but it wasn't something that was big amongst.
Well, look, it was
the country as a whole.
It was a marginalized community,
right?
And it was not receiving the attention in the media that it deserved to receive until it became, and I'm using air quotes, everybody's problem.
It was
because that's the way it was perceived.
It was referred to as the gay disease.
Yes, which is horrific, but that's what it was referred to. So, like I said, I don't think Carpenter's commenting on that in this film. I don't think that's in what he's trying to. I don't think he's intentionally doing that.
Yeah,
But I do believe that, and we talk about this is kind of the original kind of mission statement of Horror Movie Yearbook is, if you're looking at what was going on at the time, the state in which the world is in, or our country is in, or whatever, is going to, no matter how big or small, influence a creator in a certain way. It's impossible for it not to. I don't care what you're writing or create. You could be creating some sort of like fantasy epic that's totally detached from reality. And I think there's going to be ways you're going to find the current life you're living, or the world you're living in. You're going to find things bleeding into it. 100%. So I don't think that any of that was intentional from Carpenter, but I do absolutely think that there had to be elements of that in his mind at the time, I would think.
Right. And honestly, yeah, because, I mean, there are two major scenes in this point, and it's, the scene between the two women, and also what is essentially a threesome scene.
Yes.
That comes a little bit later. So it is kind of person to person, like people like promiscuous, like that's kind of how you can look at it. So, but it also fits along with the vampire movies of the time as well.
Absolutely.
Moving on from that, Carpenter's music in this movie,
score rules,
quite good,
fantastic.
Yeah, he talks a little bit. He throws some. Carpenter's not afraid to throw like shade at other creators. He throws some shade at John Williams in this. He calls he says there's two kinds of scoring in movies. One is underscore minimalist idea, which is what he tries to do in his movies. The other is something he refers to as Mickey Mousing, which is similar. He says John Williams is the most famous Mickey Mouser of all. Everything is scored so heavily that you haven't got a chance to miss anything. So he's basically kind of implying that a lot of, like Jaws, like the score in that is so heavy-handed that you aren't allowed to miss anything. So I don't know if it's throwing shade necessarily, but he's saying he prefers his way, which is kind of that minimalist style.
I don't disagree with what he's saying. I understand what he's saying, I should say.
Right. And honestly, this is one of those. This is kind of a philosophical argument where I'm not even sure for the style of movie. I'm not even sure if there's a right or wrong way to go about this. So
no, I think both things can work. It depends on the film. It's like the kind of stuff that John Williams was scoring at the time, and not that I need to defend John Williams from John Carpenter, but the kind of stuff he's scored throughout his career for the most part are these big epic studio films, and films like that, I think, do require a really bombastic. I think of I'm trying to think like one of the bigger movies I've seen, Avengers Endgame. I hate to go back to Marvel, but here we go. Avengers Endgame, biggest movie. Has it been beat by Avatar again yet?
It will be soon.
One of the biggest movies of all time.
Yes.
That score is big, and it's like bum bum.
Right,
but it needs that.
It has
right,
to be,
it's part of the. Prince of Darkness doesn't need that. Halloween doesn't need that. You want that creepy, kind of subtle underpinning. But one thing I'll disagree with John on is I don't think his scores are always subtle. I think that they're complementary to what's going on. But I think his music does very much stand out, and it doesn't just feel like a... I wonder if he would agree. When was this quote from? Do you know?
He talks about it a little bit on the commentary, so this would have been in the 2000s, I think. Probably.
See, I don't know. Like, I think his music is... Maybe Prince of Darkness' score is a little bit more of that ilk.
Yeah, I would say Prince of Darkness is a little bit more subtle.
For sure. But I don't know. He gets bombastic.
I don't think Halloween is a subtle score.
No, it's not at all. The Thing is a subtle score, but that was Morricone. That wasn't him.
Yes.
But like Big Trouble, like that's zany, bro.
Yeah.
He's not completely
Assault
right
on 360. Assault on 360. Precinct 13.
That theme is like
it's the same thing for an hour and a half,
and it kills every
it's
time.
Amazing. Don't get me wrong, but it is minimalist, but it's not subtle. There's I don't know.
It's like one of the most memorable parts of the movie.
Yeah. While the rest of the team is occupied fighting the possessed, Kelly finds a larger wall mirror and draws the anti-god's hand through it. Catherine, the only one free to act,
I love how this dummy tries to pull him through a hand mirror. Just saying, like this is supposed to be the world-ending, entity. Come on.
tackles Kelly, causing both of them to fall through the portal. The priest then shatters the mirror with an axe, trapping Kelly, the anti-god, and Catherine in the other realm. Catherine is seen briefly on the other side of the mirror, reaching out to the portal before it closes.
It's very creepy.
Great shot. Yeah.
Immediately
the possessed die. They did that using like mercury, I think, or something.
Yeah, it was like legit mercury that they like.
Yep.
Probably super not okay to use, but
but they shot this thing in like 30 days. You got to get it done. Yeah, and it was the 80s, man.
Do what you got.
They were doing worse things, I'm sure. Yeah. Immediately the possessed die. The street people wander away. The survivors, Brian, Walter, Professor Barack, and the priest are rescued. So is that the end?
Yeah,
that's the end. So,
except for the final,
the final jump scare.
Yeah.
Speaking of our Discord, the founder was good enough to start a mini thread in the Discord.
He was good enough to ruin. No, who posted that? Not the founder.
What's that?
Who posted the video of the ending of Prince of Darkness?
Prince of Darkness. Well, what it is he started the thread of you remember You're the Man Now Dog, the website YTMND.
Yes, that's right.
So they used to do these things. They're essentially GIFs, and it was just different.
I blame the founder for this.
Waking up, Prince of Darkness. One of my favorites is the Burger King King. He wakes up next to the
It's really good, but like I'm also annoyed because
it ruins the ending.
No, it doesn't. No, nothing.
It's a good ending,
but I love the ending. The ending really is him reaching out to touch the.
It's a meme, is what? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the ending is that. Yeah, that moment where the score kicks in, and it's not that subtle, John. At this point, just saying, the score kicks in, and Carpenter is such a good filmmaker. Like, he gets as close as he like. I know it seems silly, but it means a lot. Like, he gets that finger of that actor's finger as close as humanly possible to the edge of that mirror. And then has like there's a quivering and a shaking of it, and then there's a quick moment of like forward momentum, like he's going to do it, and then he cuts to black. It's not just the character sticking his hand out toward the mirror. There's a moment of hesitation. There is a moment of like fear and the scene is so sweet. It's so cool. It's one of his best endings, and he's the master of endings.
He's great. Yeah, he's great at it. He's some of my favorites. One of my sometimes I think my favorite Carpenter ending is Escape from L.A.
It rules. It kicks ass.
It's so good.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
It's such a Carpenter ending too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They live as just all of them.
Speaking of L.A., California. This movie, I want to talk. There are a couple things I want to talk about now that we're done here. This is in my head. So I've been to California a couple times, Southern and Northern California.
Yes, yeah. I've been to Northern, not Southern.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I like California a lot. So I don't want this to come off the way I'm going to say this. I don't want to come off bad. California, your weather is the best ever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the times I've been there, I know that it can get pretty. There could be.
Don't leave your car parked in San Francisco.
There you go.
That's all I'll say. It's true. Yeah. Don't do it.
Yes. But I will say, like, there's a weird feeling to California. Like, there's an uneasy, like, I always feel like it could, like, the apocalypse could come at any moment. And I don't know if it's the way the sun is, or it's just, like, the feel of it. And, like, there's an uneasy. This movie is a great Southern California movie, like LA movie to me. Like the way it's shot. A lot of it is shot in LA. It's shot on the campus of USC. This movie, like I remember the last time I went, I was sitting there and we were driving through LA and I'm just like, man, this is Prince of Darkness right now.
It is a very LA movie.
Yeah.
We have a friend who lives in LA.
Yeah.
And we've talked about going and seeing her, and we've told her, of course, that like one of our favorite things to do is to like visit filming locations and stuff, and she's lived out there long enough to kind of know what's where and what's safe and what's not, because it's sprawling. I mean, it's like its own state just in LA, and this is unfortunately it sounds like the area where the church from Prince of Darkness is, which is now like some sort of art institute, is not the best. So if you're going to go visit the filming site, maybe get your picture and bounce out. Just throwing it out there.
Related to that, so this is the first movie, and he had worked with him previously, I believe, and he worked on Carpenter's film, but Gary Brian Kibbe, who's the cinematographer on this movie.
Okay.
And he shot the majority. He shot the majority of Carpenter's movies, kind of moving forward from this point on. He shot They Live. He shot In the Mouth of Madness, Village at the Dam, Escape from L.A., Vampires, Ghosts of Mars. So honestly, everything other than Memoirs and The Ward were shot by him.
So the good stuff.
Yeah. So he was a collaborator with him, and this was the first time. But like, it's not Dean Cundey is who I always think of.
Yeah, of course.
Donald Morgan worked with him as well, but Dean Cundey had become. This is a quote from Carpenter. He says, "Dean has become extremely expensive, and Don is making a lot of money shooting TV commercials. Besides, Dean Cundey was busy making Who Framed Roger Rabbit in England, so there was no way he could have done Prince of Darkness. He has become a highly paid cameraman." So, but that goes into like Carpenter is working on a budget now. And what it is...
Well, so this was a deal he signed with, I don't remember the name of the...
Alive Pictures.
Yes, Alive.
That's where I was
Thank
going
you.
next. Yep.
Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. No, sorry.
Well, no, so his first was it was
It was this one. And then...
Big Trouble was the first, right? No. Big Trouble was his last studio
His
movie.
last studio.
It was this, and then it was They Live.
So essentially what had happened at this point...
Yep.
He had kind of soured on studio filmmaking because
of Big Trouble.
Big Trouble and The Thing bombed. And those were two of his movies, and they were Universal. Well, The Thing was Universal Pictures, but they were studio movies. Like
right.
they bombed. They would obviously catch on later on down the road. So he essentially you can tell in this interview he is just done with Hollywood, and he wants to go into Alive Films. They had made like it says eclectic scream fare as Choose Me and Trouble in Mind, like a lot of weird stuff.
They were
Woman.
very early canon-esque.
Yeah.
Is my understanding.
They obtained Carpenter service with an unprecedented offer of complete creative control. An autonomous arrangement he last enjoyed with Escape from New York in 1981. Commencing with Prince of Darkness, Carpenter will deliver all four, that did not happen, modestly budgeted films within a 5-year period for domestic theatrical distribution by Universal Pictures and video release via MCA Home Video. By shrewdly pre-selling the domestic and foreign theatrical video and cable TV rights, Alive will make a profit on each picture before shooting even begins.
Which is a pretty good deal for Alive.
Yes.
And for Carpenter, really.
I think what happened is like the reaction to this and They Live was similar to a lot of his studio films, and Carpenter would not end up making those 4 pictures with Alive.
No, I thought he made 3 though, didn't he? Or
it was just
2?
these 2. I think the third one, was going to, and then he did not make another movie for 4 years, and then he came back with Memoirs, which was a
studio
for gun, gun for hire type movie, because that is very honestly that might be the most un-Carpenter movie other than The Ward. I think
that's him at his most. I think jaded and over it.
Yes,
yeah.
There is very little of Carpenter that seeps through that movie. I think there are a couple of the yuppie characters I think feel like something Carpenter would enjoy, but that movie does not feel like John Carpenter at all.
No,
I think he gets back. So this to me is kind of a capper on that big era of Carpenter movies, and then They Live is kind of like a fun little epilogue. They Live is very good, but I enjoy it quite a bit. But this feels like a capper on everything that came before.
Yes,
I think he makes one more really good, maybe great movie in The Mouth of Madness.
Yes, I do think he makes a couple other good movies.
Me too.
I legitimately think Village of the Damned is pretty good.
Okay,
I think it gets kind of. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's actually pretty good. I think it's underrated in Carpenter's filmography, but once again, like I think his filmography is so strong that like it's tough to. When I say underrated, it's like, it's low on the list, like because
right.
Yeah. I love Escape from L.A. Like that movie is like grown on me over the years, like a ton.
Escape from L.A. and Vampires are fun. For me,
yes.
Escape from LA, though, I like better than Vampires. I just think they're fun. I don't know if I'd call Escape from LA great, but honestly, I think we've talked about this.
I kind of love it, though.
I would throw in Escape from LA before New York right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yes.
And then Vampires, I think, is I think there's stuff to like there. I don't think it ever quite lives up to its like first like 20 minutes.
Right.
But I do think there's a lot of fun to be had there. So,
and I think Woods is a lot of fun in that movie as the main.
Yes, he's great. He's great.
Very good in that movie.
After that, I want to love Ghost of Mars. I just can't do it. I keep trying.
Ghost of Mars, it has his trademark, so if you're a Carpenter fan, like you can find stuff you can find stuff to analyze.
Have you ever really felt yourself like enjoying it? Really?
No, and honestly, I've tried to rewatch it. It's kind of one of those ones I've revisited in hopes to like kind of find, but it feels like it's like when your favorite band releases an album that kind of sounds like their best stuff.
It's like Saint Anger. All right.
Well, no, because Saint Anger sounds nothing like Metallica. It's like I guess it would be.
Is it Reload?
It'd be kind of like one of their last couple albums that maybe where they're trying to recapture some of that earlier sound.
I gotcha.
But I would say even those are more interesting than I think.
Man, what's a good musical example?
So
Is there one?
There probably is. It's just I'm blanking on it right now. But let's say if Metallica are like, we're gonna go back, we're gonna make a thrash metal album, and then they release it, you're like, you guys are like 70, man. This
Stop.
is yes. Anyway, that would be what I was thinking. But yeah,
there we go.
Okay, that I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
All right.
For I want to do the Fangoria Classifieds though.
Let's do it real quick. Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's some good stuff in here. The Prince of Darkness. Prince of Darkness is from number 69.
I'm glad you reminded us.
I wanted to say that one more time.
I knew you wanted to.
It's so funny because the pictures are just flat out spoilers of this movie.
Really?
Yep. You can get Rocket Robin. This is the Classifieds.
Yep.
Nasty fashion print to wear and to tear. So that's in the classified ad. I just wanted to point that out.
Very saucy.
Quick. Very saucy. But what we like here are the free subscriber ads. This gives you
one of the best.
Essentially what this is like you could just write into Fangoria whatever you wanted pretty much, and if it was okay to print, they would print it. And this is people just saying like, this is number one, this is the best.
My favorites.
These are my favorite things going on in 1987. So for example, Psycho, Whore Dog, Sias the Wang rules. Fangoria, Reanimator, Chainsaw Massacre 1 and 2. I'm a Madman.
Ooh.
Clive Barker, number 1. Books of Blood, number 1. Jason Lives Forever.
Hell yeah.
Jason, Leatherface, and Freddy are rad in Friday the 13th. Jason Lives, Texas Chainsaw 2, and Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors.
Good taste.
What's funny is we've gotten a couple Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 defenders early on in this, and I recall that not being particularly well liked.
I don't remember that. Get that movie. Fuck.
King, Romero, Savini are awesome dudes. Bears are forever and live far away. Bear, I love you.
Okay.
Superstar Billy Graham, Kiss, Alice Cooper.
Hell yeah.
Fright Night, Trick or Treat, and White Sister, number 1.
Dude had me at Superstar Billy Graham. Let's go.
And then he went with Kiss, Alex Cooper, Fright Night. Yeah, that guy rocks. Let's see if we can find another one.
That guy's sweet.
We love you, Jason Voorhees. Keep 'em coming. Leatherface for President. I texted you this one here because it says, for me, it's night of...
Oh, yeah.
This guy goes,
I knew what you...
Person.
Yeah.
For me, it's Night of the Living Debbie every night. And so when I read that, I laughed, like, out loud.
His girlfriend's name is probably Debbie.
His girlfriend's name is probably Debbie.
Yeah, he's like, hey,
giving her a
every
shot,
baby.
I read it, and the way I read it is like... It's weird because it makes no sense in my head how I read it.
You read it Night of the Little Debbie.
Night of the Little Debbie.
Which is very funny.
It's very funny, but you also have to know, you have to have the context of the title being Night of the Living Dead. So in my head, I somehow like got those two mixed up.
And I was laughing. What you meant when you texted that, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's just some dude who loves Little Debbie's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who doesn't?
You got a favorite Little Debbie?
Ooh, yes, I do. Little Debbie makes oatmeal cream.
Yes, they do.
They are so unbelievably bad for you. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
As bad as it gets. But like also like I haven't had one in years. Why am I robbing myself
of Little Debbie's
on occasion? I'm not going to do them all the time.
No, right.
I'm not going to get out of control, you know? I mean, I don't know.
And so,
what's your favorite Little Debbie?
So a little bit of background. My dad.
You have a vested interest in.
I do. Used to have a Little Debbie truck in my driveway.
Is it
full? So
retired at this point?
No, but he doesn't have the truck.
Oh, that's sad.
So yeah, he's but he have a strike. And here's a little fun fact about Little Debbie's. The stale, like you would have to pull the expired stuff.
Of course.
It's not technically expired, it's just like a Best Buy.
But bakery stuff gets stale before it expires.
Yes.
Always.
But the thing is with Little Debbie's, it does not matter because they've got so much stuff in them. And it would just be like a box of stale stuff and I would just be rifling through it.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I like a lot of them. I liked the strawberry shortcake rolls when I was a kid, but
those are good.
Nutty Bars are good. Star Crunch were really good. I was big into Star Crunch.
All right.
I was a brownie guy. There are very few I did not like.
Those oatmeal cream pies, dude.
Yeah, the cream pies are really good.
That's the you can squeeze that son of a bitch and like the marshmallow filling comes out. Dude.
You get the big ones too. You get the gas station. They got the bigger one.
Forget about it. I used to eat those things. Oh, my wife told me I had to cut down. My chest was hurting. I'm joking. It wasn't. But, yeah.
A couple more here. Here's a hot take.
Yes.
Howard the Duck was great.
Fuck yeah, it was. It was sweet. What is the debate here?
Don't believe what those film critics say because they are all wrong.
They are. What? Is it bad? Is Howard the Duck bad? This is a movie that I've never understood, like, the hate for. Why do people think that, like...
I think it's the Lucas name on it, maybe.
But, like if you don't like it, fine.
Because George Lucas never made a bad film.
Howard the Duck's kind of achieving what it sets out to achieve.
I think it's a ridiculous... Like, if you're not familiar with Howard the Duck... But even then, it's the 80s. Like, we're all...
Like, I didn't know Howard the Duck was a comic book character until years later. I saw the movie and I was like, this is hilarious. The duck rules.
Yeah.
There's duck boobs in the movie. It's fantastic. What are we complaining? Anyway, continue. This guy gets it.
Here's an eclectic guy here.
Okay.
Whitney Houston, Michael J. Fox, Huey Lewis, Chicago, Night Court, Cheers, pornos, number one.
I like all the stuff he just mentioned. Sweet.
So Chicago, I assume he means the band.
Yes.
Not the musical.
The music. Yeah, the music.
Maybe the city?
He had it right in the middle of the musical, right?
Yeah, so I assume he means the band.
Yeah.
I used to love Night Court.
I like Chicago. I like Night Court. I like Michael J. Fox. I like porn. We're good. It's all good.
Stephen King, Aha, and my cousins rock.
Hell yeah. I don't know your cousins. Stephen King and Aha, down. Love it.
I'm going to try to find one more here, and then we'll get out of here.
He's the best, dude.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Fangoria Rules, Pink Floyd, Kiss, and Rat are number one.
I've seen Rat live.
You have, yes.
I have, yeah.
Do you know the lead singer? What's his name?
No, I don't remember his name. I think it's a silly name, though. I saw
I feel
them
like he does, too.
They opened for, I saw them at Pine Knob, which is now Pine Knob again, by the way.
Okay.
It's called Pine Knob again. It's not DTE, what was it? DTE Energy Music Theater for a while.
Yeah.
And they opened for Def Leppard.
That's quite the show.
Def Leppard was sweet.
Yeah.
Rat was... They were Rat. they were pretty good. But what was their big hit?
Round and
Round. Yep.
They had another one too, right?
Yeah, they did for sure. God, I don't remember what the name. Stephen Piercy, I think.
Okay.
Stephen Piercy. I thought he had a sillier name than that.
Me too. It's disappointing.
Very disappointing. Like, if you see a picture of the guy, you go, yeah, he needs a zanier name than that. So, but yeah, Round and Round was the big jam. So
that's it. I think we have done
Prince
of Darkness at October, the last week of October, 1987 Justice.
Yep.
So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. We're out of the time machine. We are our next major episode. We got a Tiny Terror coming out where we talk a little bit about Scream. We talk a little bit about. I'm doing the Roman Reigns thing out of it, like the
Mega Man.
Doing the punch, yeah, cocked and loaded here. Just for no reason. We talk a little bit about Morbius.
The Morb. Yeah.
We try to remember things from a movie I watched 3 days ago.
Yeah. Like
in Morbius.
That's so funny. That is the perfect encapsulation of Morbius, though. Yeah.
But then our next main episode is going to come out around Christmas time, and we're going to be talking about toys. We're going to be talking about horror, action figures, toys.
Yep. It'll branch into non-horror stuff. I know it will, but
Willie's going to teach me a little bit. I'm not. Willie likes toys. Willie, you're a big toy guy, right?
Well, it's yes. Now I am. I was not for a while. It's
it okay if I call them toys? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know if some people call them figures.
Hey, I'm a grown-ass man, and I paid for them with my grown-ass man job. So yes, I will call them toys.
Okay.
No, in all seriousness, I was big on toys when I was a kid. I got too cool for school. I sold all my toys in a garage sale.
Yeah.
And then I think I've been living with this weird regret. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really care.
No,
it's fine. But no, in all seriousness, I've gotten more into them now. I've always liked the Legos. I've been into Legos, but now I've gotten.
You've always
into,
been a Lego guy, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're in my basement. You guys can't see it listening. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. But there's toys, kind of all over, right?
Yeah.
So no, I like toys.
Yeah, and you've got horror toys looking right at me. There's my man from Resident Evil.
I got Wesker, President Wesker. I need to build him a desk like he's in the Oval Office though, so he can be President Wesker. But no, I've got some horror toys. I got my horror corner on the wall there. I've got my Jack Burton, my zombie Kevin Smith, signed by Kevin Smith.
Oh, Clerks 3 is out to rent.
It is. We got to do that. I got to see that. I got Radu, which was a gift from you. Thank you.
Yes. No problem.
I've got. We'll talk about him. Yeah.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to go up to our local comic book shop, and I'm just going to walk around, because they have some
incredible horror toys.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
And I will walk around, and I will come prepared next time. So
my favorite is the buff Michael Myers.
Yeah.
From Resurrection though, because the box is Halloween Resurrection, and he's jacked so big that his sleeves have come off. It's my favorite toy.
So that's what we'll be talking about for our Christmas episode this year. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Take care.